Manchester City, the title race very much on. A little reminder, the top two have yet to face off this season, so there's 6 points on offer there. February will be the first meeting, and I got to know what you're thinking about this, Danny. I mean, if there's any side in the Premier League, well, you probably have to say 2 of the last 5 years that can go on these 20-match winning streaks. It's City and it's Liverpool. Can we see that happening against this season?
Oh, definitely. I think now that they're all back from the World Cup, as they start to grow into this, the strength and depth, we saw it tonight. I think Pep was maybe overthinking it a little bit, over-tweaked it, tried to maybe be a little bit too clever, thinking what Chelsea might do and trying to combat that. I think they will get better as the understanding of Haaland fitting into the team and the team fitting in around Haaland. They will get better and better. They've only lost 2 games all season. You know, they're still up there. They've still got to play Arsenal twice, which is, you know, going to be difficult for them. But I think you saw tonight, when Pep's team is at its best, Mahrez on one side, whether that be Foden or Grealish on the other, Haaland down the middle, De Bruyne, you know, Bernardo Silva, Rodri in midfield, not playing centre half or left back or wherever, you know, he was going to be. City are best at a high tempo, high press. And that's what they did in the second half. And that's why they started to cause Chelsea some real problems. It was chalk and cheese between the first half and the second half for Manchester City.
I mean, I'm looking at some of the numbers over the last couple of years. City, they overcame an 8-point deficit after 13 games. And they overcame a 10-point deficit after 19 games to win the title. And oddly enough, we're talking about Arsenal being top in January. City have won the title 5 times in the last 11 years, but only twice in that period have they actually been top of the table at the start of January. So it's not the be-all and end-all. Is this where we start to see the City become accustomed to, Mark? Because they do have some tough fixtures, I have to say. I mean, they got Chelsea again next, but in the FA Cup on the weekend.
Look, I think Manchester City are well placed to win the title. I know Arsenal are ahead. I know Arsenal have been phenomenal this season for what they've shown over the last couple of years, and they deserve to be where they are. But City are starting to get going, I think. Like Danny was saying there, start of that second half, City at times, I mean, Chelsea couldn't get out of their own half. They were backs to the wall. City could have really torn them apart. And then the strength in depth, they're fortunate. But also not necessarily fortunate. It's also probably very good medical staff, fitness staff. They are able to maintain a lot of these players on the football pitch. And the ability for Pep to rotate, his players will know it. He knows he can make full changes to his side, even at halftime. He's brutal enough to make big calls and take Kyle Walker off, Cancelo off, change the shape, and they make a big difference because the players he's got coming off the bench are top quality. There's not another team in the league that have the same strength and depth as City do. And the fact that they've won the league the last 2 years in a row, most of those players know what it takes. They know how to chase a lead down. The manager knows it. So for me, City are very much in it. And if not, I still fancy City to go and win the league.
Is it concerning that they're not scoring quite as many goals for you, Danny? It just feels a bit unfair to say that because the first 9 matches they were averaging slightly under 4 goals a game. There's no way, I don't think any team can sustain that.
They are top scorers in the league, Adam. Don't forget.
They are, but if you're comparing the first 9, almost 4 goals a game to the subsequent 1.5 averaging.
They're not halfway through the season and they've got 45 goals. So they're on course for high 90s or possibly even 100 goals, which is exceptional. You know, they've only conceded 16. They don't concede too many goals. City will be fine, but Mark just mentioned it there. Pep is ruthless, and he has that hunger, that desire to make those big calls and drive his players on and leave them out at times. I think Arteta's starting to get that now. You know, we've seen how he dealt with some senior players, Ozil, then Aubameyang, and you're starting to see that hunger and desire at Arsenal. They might not win it this year, but they will go close, and they will go close the year after. I'm not sure about Eddie Howe. I think that's still a little bit too new up at Newcastle. Eric Ten Hag has it. We've seen he's been dealing with people. We've seen Conte do that at Tottenham. You know, absolutely ruthless. We've seen Klopp do it. And then you start to look at Graham Potter, and I just look at his interview there. It's very nice. Seems a nice guy to play for. Does he go into that dressing room and does he start digging players out? I'm not sure that he does within that. And sometimes, not every single day, but you've got to have that about you. And I'm not sure he has. And you look what Eric Ten Hag had to deal with, at Manchester United when they were struggling and the big decisions about Ronaldo. He was quite happy. And what he did with Rashford the other day, one of his best players, leaves him out because he's late for a meeting. I'm not convinced that Graham Potter has that ruthless streak. And when I look at Manchester City, Guardiola has it with abundance. The players have it at Manchester City. Sir Alex Ferguson had it, back in the day. And he would always say, look, you just need to be in the hunt come March. You need to be there or thereabouts. That's when the league starts. The title race starts in March. If you're in the top two, come that time, you've got a great chance of winning it because they know how to get over the line.